Everyone said there wouldn't be a Grand Slam this year. And it turns out everyone was right. Hard luck to Ireland, but man, it was a magnificent performance from France. Hello, amateurs. Welcome to our Six Nations series, and I've got a little slightly sad Elko with me. Elko, how you doing?
Bonjour. Yeah, gutted, buddy. But for the competition, it's kind of good if they hadn't have beaten us by loads on a bonus point. But anyway, it is what it is, and we've got to front up and get on with it.
Absolutely. And I mean, it just seemed like it wasn't going to be Ireland's day from very early on when the news came through of the James Lowe injury in the warm up. What were you thinking when you heard that?
Well, how did you hear about it? I think you know how I was thinking. I think I text you and said, "Holy bejesus!" I said, James Lowe looks like I did last week when I was emptying the dishwasher with my chocolate back, and it went. Yeah, I don't know what happened. It looked like lower back. And it's one of those you're watching, and it was half an hour before kickoff. I was like, "Oh God, things, you know, maybe this will have an effect." I honestly don't think it did in terms of what France did and what we did, but it wasn't a great start to the afternoon, and yeah, it was. Maybe it was sort of a big highlight of what was to come as for an Irishman.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like he is in, well, was, I'd say, before this week, he was in line to be in with a shout for player of the tournament for sure. I think he's been absolutely amazing
Yeah,
this tournament. So it's definitely a big hit. Yeah, yeah. You just want all the best players to be on the field for games like this, don't you? You want to see both teams putting their best side out and going at it. So, yeah, losing somebody of James Lowe's stature before kickoff was bad for the game, full stop. Now
yeah,
then,
agreed.
before the game as well, I've got to bring this up again because singing the Fields of Athenry after the anthems and having the players stand around where the singer goes one more time, just like I think it needs to be got rid of, absolutely got rid of. It's a mood killer for people watching. I think.
TT, listen, but before that, and they play soldier song and the new Ireland's call and stuff. It's ridiculous. It's got to stop. Play one or other. I know what I'd want. I want shoulder to shoulder. I think that's what needs to be done, because of the way it's all set up with Ulster and everything else. And then like if that wasn't enough, then you go on. I didn't know what was going on. I don't know what you're watching on. I was watching it on. I had RT and ITV on, and it was weird. And the referee was waiting for the guy to stop. Gotta stop. Let's get. It's a professional game. I don't think it makes any difference to the Irish crowd because I don't think it was particularly good today. Um, there was a couple of sneaky French boys, maybe 15,000 got tickets because when we'll talk about soon, much like 2 years ago when I was in Twickenham and watched France put 40 points on England, all of a sudden the Blue Army comes out and it's like you're in, Paris. They're brilliant fans. They are brilliant fans. So I agree with you. They need to get rid of that, whoever that bloke is. One anthem. Let's crack on.
Yeah, and I just want to be clear. I love that song, but there's a time and a place. So, and the time and the place isn't delaying one of the best rugby games that's in the calendar this year. Let's get into it. Ireland absolutely dominated the first 20 minutes of this game. They played with just a decent amount of control, but they never quite looked like they were really going to cut France apart, I didn't think. And one of the reasons I thought was just they couldn't quite get the speed of ball required to do that. What were your take on the sort of the opening 20 minutes?
Yeah, it was hard. We had loads of possession there, and we spoke about it on Thursday that this was a game around opportunity and taking opportunity, and we didn't do it, and we had so much not so much, but looking back now, yeah, it was, and it felt good, and Harty in Dublin was texting me, kind of going, "Oh, I'm not sure." I'm like, "Look, we got these. We were clearly the better team. We were much better than France because we had the ball, much better, much better, much better. But we didn't score, and it bit us so hard. And there was kind of two turning points. I'm sure we'll get onto the yellow card, but Doris getting held up there. He's got to score there. Yeah, I don't blame him. I blame the setup play. You know, don't go for it. It was a desperado get over, but you've got to score there. An opportunity in those 20s, and Easterby said after, you know, it was around being in that red zone, taking your opportunity, and we should have it would have settled a very nervous team, I think, down, emotional team, and that it might have been different, but we don't know. We just don't know.
No, you don't. But yeah, that Doris getting held up was definitely a big moment. But amongst all of this, it had to be said that the French are actually defending with huge energy, organisation, and sort of guts that you don't always associate them with. It's particularly not this Six Nations. They've been kind of passive on defence, this Six Nations, generally speaking. And I thought this was epitomised most by Louis Bielbieri, who put in a massive tackle. I can't remember who it was on actually, but it was a huge hit. And for somebody, he's not known for that kind of thing. And I thought that really, kind of inspired the French a little bit.
Yeah, I think there might be a chap from Wigan pretty happy this evening. Listen, Edwards was all over this. It was a blueprint. You know, you could see his DNA all over this, and they were up for it. Love to know what was going on behind the scenes before this game, and maybe we'll get to see it one day. But they were up for it. They knew they had to be, and yeah, there was a couple of big hits. I think Prendergast had got whopped just before that, and then on that right hand side, it might have been Henshaw. I think got whacked by Bielbieri there over there. It lifts, and then you heard the French boys all of a sudden in the Aviva, and I'm sure everyone was like, "What? Oh, they're here!" And that just lifted them again. You know, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and Ireland really dominated the entire first 20 minutes, and it was only towards the end of this period that France actually had the ball at all, and then they didn't have it for very long because Caelan Doris was an absolute menace at the breakdown today. I think he won
Yeah.
3 turnovers in the first 20 minutes. When Ireland had most of the ball anyway, it was like every time France got it, Doris nicked it back.
Yeah, I watched your post Facebook, and yeah, I agree. You were talking about that, and I completely agree. I mean, it was like three in a row. It was, and often you'll see players dive, and he was so clever. He stepped over and picked it up. He read Angus Gardner didn't even. I thought, by the way, was really really good today. The referee, I thought he was excellent. And uh, you know, he's such a good reader of it. In terms of when the ball is and isn't out. And yeah, there was three bits where he turned over. He was one of the Irish guys that turned up today. He was really good, to be fair to Doris today.
Yeah, he was. And I agree with what you just said about Angus Gardner there. I thought there were some real tricky moments in this game for officiating. And I thought his communication throughout was really clear and also firm as well. Like the referees do have to be firm at times. And I thought he handled that really well with a decent amount of politeness and sort of respect as well. So, yeah, big hat tip to him. Okay, one of the big talking points now happened, and it was 20 minutes in. France had barely had possession, as we just said, but Bielbieri got put away down the left-hand side, chipped it on. Joe McCarthy reached out, pulled Ramos back by the collar, basically collared him, threw him to the ground. And I actually didn't see this one in real time. Like I was focused on the ball clearly, but the referee had earmarked it, and they went back and checked it on the TMO. Bang, yeah, straightforward yellow card and penalty. To be honest,
Bang to right, CT. Yeah,
yeah.
really, really just disappointing. And he's got this in him. You know, we've spoken about this before, and he's got this in him. Where he's on the edge of. We spoke about how you know the pack needed to be hugely emotionally invested in this game, but there's a difference between that and grabbing a guy. I mean, there's so many cameras everywhere. Gordon Darcy was talking about this on ITV. It's like, what are you doing? You're going to get caught. It was stupid. Now, if he hadn't have grabbed Ramos, would they have scored in the corner? Maybe, but I
Maybe.
don't think so. Maybe 2%, 5%, maybe. It wasn't worth giving a yellow card for that, and it was just really poor discipline from him. Unfortunately, he's a good kid and everything else, but he's got to start learning. And I think that might have cost him an Irish and British Lions potentially looking at, because it's too often, and he needs to learn quick, smart.
Yeah, I mean, if he's a borderline selection and it comes down to things like that, that will definitely go against him for sure. So 21 minutes, and France scored the first points after having almost no possession, no territory whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it came off the back of
Mm.
a driving maul, which I thought might have gone all the way, actually. So it was quite brave for Dupont to drag that ball out and fire it over the top for Bielbieri to score in the corner. Did you see what I said on the live as well about Armani potentially being up for a yellow card there? Because he was in that maul and he tried to tackle Dupont, which is now against the law. And if it
Yeah.
was potentially going to lead to a try right 2 or 3 minutes from the line, it could have been a yellow card if France hadn't have scored.
Yeah, 100%. With the new laws have come in, you cannot touch the nine there, and he's in one way they're lucky they scored. Not great defense on the right. I think it was Sam Prendergast and the winger there. In one way, lucky because I think he would have got another yellow, and then we would have been in all sorts of poor shape there. But yeah, it was brilliant from Dupont again, just identifying, getting outside of Amani, and then just putting this player away. It was a very well taken try.
Yeah, and in my notes at this point, I put France are trusting their skills, and nothing could epitomise that more than the exit they did shortly afterwards when they got caught about 10 metres from their own line. Bielbieri looped around, got past the ball under
Oh my
pressure, and then
God.
cross
Kicked
field
it.
kicked Pino, who
Yeah.
cleared it up to halfway line. I mean, it was just absolutely, absolutely wild by the French that they did that
Yeah, it was
and
crazy.
executed. Yeah,
Yeah, because Harty at home was like texting, "Oh, we're in trouble." Before that, and I was like, "Stay calm." This is when France were in our red zone. I was like, "Staying calm, we'll be okay." And then when they did that in their own 22, I was like, "We're in massive trouble here." They're doing crossfield kicks in the Aviva. They were there to play, right? It's great. I loved it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Right, we've got to talk about it. This is potentially probably the biggest talking point of the whole game, and this is when Dupont got injured after about half an hour. Now, initially, I've got to say, like he made a tackle that he really shouldn't have had to have made because somebody slipped off the tackle before him. And then it's a couple of people, a couple of Irish players come in to clear him out of the ruck, essentially. Ended up
Yeah,
landing on his knee, and it looks like a medial ligament thing for me,
at least, yeah.
strain or a tear, hard to say at this point. He's off injured. What did you make of that incident? Because there's a lot going on social media about it at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. Look. I've been sort of trying to get in contact with a couple of trusted people, Brett Igo in Dublin, just trying to get a bit of a feel. Obviously, Galtier's come out and like already said they're dragging Porter in and Byrne. For me, it didn't feel that it was intentional. It look, but the more I look at it, then I'm like, I've seen stuff where people have got some reds and stuff. But the only thing I can say is that Tyke Byrne isn't looking at him. He's literally just trying to secure the ball, but it could be deemed as reckless. And because of who it is, there could be something coming down the line. I don't know. I really, what I don't like is the way the French during the game and after have now gone after it. I don't like that. Let the powers that be sort that out. But it was bad for the game, because obviously we want to see this guy on the pitch, and it looks like it might be certainly a few weeks off if it's a strain, and if it's an operation, it could be something like what Sheehan had, so maybe a 4 to 6 monther, which we don't want, right? We want this guy on the pitch. So, but for me, I'm literally looking at it here, sort of, and every time I look at it, it gets worse and worse from Bird. So I don't know. What were your thoughts on it? Did you think it was foul or an intent?
No, I didn't. I thought it was. I thought actually Angus Gardner, the way he spoke about it during the game, was exactly right. I think they've gone to clear him out, and I think because there were people on the floor, the Irish players are going to go off their feet in that situation. I don't think there's any malice in that at all. I don't think they've targeted the limb. I think Dupont's foot got trapped in there, and ideally he would have obviously wanted to have bounced out and sort of bounced out himself anyway. I think
Yeah.
it's just a rugby incident, and I do think that it's unfortunate, and of course we don't want to see anybody injured. But I don't think he's targeted the lower limb there at all.
No, no, and again, the way Gardner dealt with that, I thought was refreshing, mature. Just because obviously it was what it must have been a couple of minutes after face play before Aldry had the chat with him, and he just talked him through it and said no. And it would probably be a bit undermining actually if they punished now after what Gardner said. But I thought the ref dealt with that very very well.
Yeah, along with a lot of things, as we said already.
Mm,
Eventually, though, the Irish got on the board after a penalty for a tackle off the board by Budenholm on Byrne for 3-8. But then again, we talk about this all the time, like real key moments in the game. Ireland gave a dull penalty away at the kickoff for a bit of shepherding. So they spent all that time trying to get on the scoreboard and then just concede 3
mm.
points again straight away, straight afterwards. And those margins, they really matter.
They're a coach killer. I didn't like that decision. Gardner was awesome, but he was shit on that one. No, I don't know. I just felt I felt it was a really cheapy. Look at it, I rewound it quickly and was like, really? But I know certainly from they're looking for it, so it was dull in that sense, right? It was really dull. Surely the coaching staff are going, and I think they did show Easterby in the box at the time, and it was like, oh my god, and then. Yeah, it was just annoying because it felt like a game that was in the balance, and it was those little. It didn't turn out that way, but it was those little things that create momentum or don't create or stop momentum, and we just score it back. And it's like, oh guys, come on! A good exit there might have led to different things.
Yeah, but France repaid the favour by giving a really dumb penalty away just before half time, with three people just stood half a yard offside at a really slow ruck on halfway line, which Pendergast banged over for 6-8 at
Great
half
kick.
time. And then key, right? So he scored just before half time. Second half starts, and Ireland were dominant at the start of the second half up until they scored. They were winning aerial battles, and it was relatively even, I would say, in the air most of the day. But during this period, I think it was Keelan got a couple, and that got them territory, which led to a line-out drive. Dan Sheehan over in the corner and a touchline conversion as well. And suddenly, it felt absolutely on for the Irish at this point.
Yeah, 100%. It was very much how I thought we were going to play. It was get an entry into the 22, get that opportunity, do your drills, score. And that was the way we were gonna win. I thought that leading up to this game, we weren't going to beat them by doing out the back and incredible backline. It was going to be attritional. Even though they had a big pack, I just thought our set play was really really good, and it was a brilliantly worked rolling ball and Sheehan in the corner. I thought that's the way to go, but we just didn't kick on from there, and that was very frustrating.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, yeah, the Irish didn't kick on, but oh my goodness me, the French absolutely did. They just went up to a different level. And I don't think I've ever seen Luku play like that before. He just seemed so on it, like so determined to not be in Dupont's shadow. I think maybe that was his driver. I'm not sure, but he was so sort of forceful with everything he did. I've never seen him take a game by the scruff of the neck like that.
Well, no, I think that's exactly what it was. I think he's looked at it and gone, "This is my opportunity," and I am, in his head, TC, we played the game. You don't, you have respect for other people, of course you do, and in your position, but within a club or whatever it is, but you never think you're not better than them. Even though I'm sure it must be a difficult conversation to have, because all the chat is around this guy, but he was exceptional. Like when he came on, and I think one of his first duties was to do a box kick clearance, and the kick was absolutely exceptional. Like even everyone was clapping, even the ball boys were like, "Oh, how did he get that out?" Like it was a 50-meter kick, just the other side of halfway. But he was really really good, and maybe that threw us off a little bit. But yeah, he was awesome. Point to
Yeah,
prove.
that kick. Yeah, some of his kicking was so long. He kicked the ball so long from scrum half. It was
Yeah.
outstanding. and France was swarming at this point, and you like everybody knows what that looks like and what that feels like. There's just blue jerseys everywhere. It feels like there's offloading going on. It feels like the dam's going to break at any point, and it eventually it led to the try by Budahan, which was actually only a few minutes after Ireland had scored. So again, for Ireland to concede so soon afterwards, it felt like, oh no, like just get some more time in the game, have the lead for a while, and then that builds pressure in itself. But the French were just so on it. And there was a couple of incidents that led up to this try. And again, complimenting the referee, he was so methodical in going back and dealing with each one in turn. So the first one was the high shot by Nash on Barassi. And I don't think anybody can complain about what happened there. I think they nailed that absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, yeah, it was. There's no complaints there. Similar to Ringrose, which I thought would be a yellow. I'm just saying. But yeah, no, I think that was fair enough. I have no complaints. No complaints. Is this the same one with Omani?
Yeah.
Okay, go
Yeah.
on,
So,
go on. You go on to the next bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
so the ruck one or two before the try was scored, the ball was carried up, and then Flamont is coming in, and Amani was coming in at the same time to contest the ruck. Amani then started to pull out, but Flamont made contact with him and then immediately pulled out himself. Amali went cartwheeling backwards, and I think it was Gross, the prop, who went through the
Yeah,
hole
it
where
was.
Amani was
Yeah.
stood. And eventually
Yeah.
France scored, I think, another phase later with Budahan driving over for
Mm.
the try. They went back to look at it to see whether Flamont had offended by taking somebody out beyond the ruck, and they decided he hadn't. What was your thoughts on that?
That one, I don't know. I don't know. It's a typical one because he is moving backwards. So what was Gardner said he's doing a matador. Okay, so he's coming back, and I get that because we see that a lot in the Prem here in England, where often at the ruck you'll see someone step back, and then you'll hear the referee go, no, 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 because they'll say, oh, off the feet, off the feet. Oh no, you step back. My thoughts were that he's saying if he hadn't stepped back and stayed where he was, then he would have just got rucked off the ball. It wasn't a foul, but he but he didn't. He came way back. I thought potentially it was foul play. But I can see it's a 50-50, and I don't want to be a guy who's just got his arse handed to himself by the French and sort of picking on that. But I thought and I thought because it was Pete that maybe he didn't give the decision against him. Um, 50-50, but listen, we've had a few of those calls recently, so get on with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs to be said afterwards. He thought it was 3 to 4 meters from where the ball was on the ground, and I don't think that's right. Actually, I think the contact where Flamont actually hit Omani was
Yeah,
much closer to the ball,
closer.
and
Where he
these are
landed
these are
was.
yeah, these are normally penalised when the rucker actually tackles the defender to the ground and holds him to the ground. This definitely wasn't that. So I think on the balance of probability, I think Gardner got this one right. And it was again,
Yeah,
it's a very tricky call because high pressure, massive moment in the game as well. So fair play to him for standing up for what he thought was right there because it would
yeah.
have been so easy to have just given the penalty, I think, in some ways.
And not only that, it was the way he explained that. It was so lovely that he went, right, let's have a look at the foul play with the head contact potentially with Nash, and then he went, right, can we look at that because I don't want to be distracted by what happened there. Can we replay? And it was just really succinct, and it was brilliant that was in everyone in the crowd could hear it. Yeah, I thought it was excellent refereeing, really really good for a spectator listening.
Yeah. Barassi went off because of that, which, 7-1 bench. Now two backs have gone off. So Jegu went on and played in the centre, which I heard via social media was the likely thing that was going to happen if France lost the centre. And,
Mm.
to be fair, he played pretty damn well, didn't he, Jegu, when he came on? But the moment of the match for me happened on the 50th minute. And this was when BLBRA ended up scoring his second try, but it came from way back in the direct opposite corner of the pitch when Ramos just went on a little sojourn on his own, chipped down the right hand touchline from within his own 22, won a counter ruck with a couple of his mates, obviously. And then Peno did this beautiful diagonal run that he's absolutely renowned for. And he's so dangerous that the Irish were like, right, who's that? Who's got him? And then suddenly he's gone and through. It was only one pass then from him to Bielbiari, chip through and score. It was an unbelievable try, I thought.
Unbelievable. Nearly messed up by his mate Luku as well. That was coming through, and poor old Sam Prendergast didn't have the gas to get back. But it's at this level, it is about taking opportunities and just grasping that nettle. And the French were the complete polar opposite of what they were against England and Twickenham. They everything kind of stuck. I can't remember many balls going down today, and they punished us harshly, but that's international rugby. It was that's what happens when you're playing against a world class side, and we've been on the other end of these things before. But no, it was a very well taken. I like him. He's a brilliant player. Great to watch. Good kid.
Yeah, and the things that it was one of those days. I really do think it's one of those days when everything the French did, or most of it, came off, and Ireland just a lot of what they tried until the game was gone didn't work. And this included like Bundy Aki going off, and I'm sure he must have been injured to be replaced by Jack Crowley. I can't imagine they'd have made that substitution otherwise. But he was quite quiet today. He got like a boot in the face really early and he didn't
Mm.
seem himself. And then obviously Jegu comes on for France in the centre and plays amazingly well opposite Bundy, and it just felt like everything was going blue today. To be honest,
Yeah, it was a weird one, TD, because we spoke we spoke about on our pre-match about where we thought the game might be won or lost, or who had to go well, and none of those things were true today, really. Like the scrum that we spoke about was complete parity. It was great. I don't remember many scrums, and they were all. I don't remember. Don't remember any. I think the first one, second one, maybe there was a free kick or penalty, but then after that it was fine. Lineouts pretty much went for each other. Prendergast wasn't a liability in defence, really. I don't remember like they were like literally going after him. It was just they just got the rub, or emotionally. I feel emotionally we were slightly not there, or in the wrong place, and they were, and all the things that we spoke about, they didn't really count. It was like if you had, I don't know, 12 sort of levels of, I don't know, scrum, line out, da, 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 da. They top trumped everything, and that cumulative just weighed us, and they just got over and they pummeled us like physically, worryingly. That's the big thing for me. And it had a La Rochelle vibe, it had a Toulouse vibe from last year, and that's the worrying thing for me. And I think probably the massive advantage Ireland have of having Leinster as the primary provider of players in this team is maybe our weakness, but we got to deal with that. We can't magic up Mialafus and sort of 25 stone guy. We just can't do that, but we've got to play it a better way. But I don't. It's a really weird one. I need to watch that game probably two or three times because I don't think we played particularly badly. I think they just um, sort of choked us and just do sometimes what we do to other teams. Yeah, it is a really weird one.
yeah, I completely agree. I was delighted shortly after that previous try when France kicked a penalty rather than trying to go for the fourth try because that would have kept the championship wide open. But then almost straight after that, Jegu got over for the bonus point try anyway. So I was like, oh, damn it, never mind. And that was game over. That was 32-13. Ireland came back and there's another French penalty, but Ireland came back and got a couple of tries towards the end. Great one for Cian Healy. Great to see him
Ian
score. That's a
Church.
rarity. And
I know.
Jack Conan getting over with the last play as well for 27-42. I mean, fair play to the French. It was an unreal performance. I really think it was top draw.
Oh, it's. I mean, that will go down. I mean, Edwards has been saying the whole time during the week. As far as they were lining up, it's the most difficult place to go and play in the world. They've shown us massive respect, and that's it wasn't the best Test match I've ever seen, but it was a way to beat Ireland through guts, physical, domination, but then having the ability and the little touches to score some fantastic tries, much like we've seen before. And we just didn't have an answer. They were superb, and I I can't see them not winning the championship now. Going on they play last, I think, next week, so they'll know exactly what they need to do. We'll have to put a big score on, but yeah, it is what it is. TT is what it is.
Yeah, just one final point. A mention for Damien Penaud, who equalled the French try scoring record today with his canter over from
Oh,
50 meters. Yeah, so he's joint top now with Serge Blanco.
of
Uh,
course he did. It wasn't mentioned on
yeah,
TV, weirdly.
no, so but that's it. That's it now. So after being
Wow.
dropped previous game to come back on and now joint record holder, fair play to him. I thought he had a pretty decent game today. He had some really good moments, that's for sure.
He did, yeah. Dan Aykroyd lookalike. We've had this conversation before. TD, don't worry. Yeah, he is. He's a banger player. And to come back from sort of being dropped and stuff, but he was even off the ball. He's doing a lot of work, but he's such a good finisher, and I love the way when he got given that pass to go over and the other guys stopped supporting, just going, he's going to score. There's no way anybody's getting him. But fair play. So he's equal that now, and then has an incredible chance to win the championship at home, and maybe beat that record, that try record. Wow,
Yeah,
fair play.
absolutely. Okay, let's bring this one to a close. That's what we think, people. What do you think at home? Do you disagree on any of the kind of key points? Because there's some real good discussion points in this game, some really interesting things where absolutely people can have different opinions on this stuff. So we'd love to hear from you in the comments down below, and we'll have a good, respectful, friendly conversation down there. While you're down there, give this video a nice thumbs up. It helps other people find it. Elko, I'm so sorry for Ireland's loss today, but thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate it a lot.
Thanks, TT. On to the next one. Let's see. We might still skin the championship, maybe.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. People at home, subscribe there. Watch that one next. Oh, that one. Yeah, that one. And don't forget to get out and play.